talk about burying the lead. Like it wasn't even 6 feet under. That thing was, at Middle Earth. it was completely obscured and hidden. And why are you hiding that stuff? Thank you for having me back. I feel like pushing some limits today, for crying out loud.
I appreciate that. I wanted to get your first reaction to this. Sources, multiple networks are now saying that Donald Trump is going to be using military force to be bombing some nuclear facilities in Iran, which officially means we're at war with Iran. What are your thoughts on that?
I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. The last thing I was surprised by, actually legit surprised, was last Thursday when Senator Padilla was tackled, body slammed, and handcuffed for basically doing the job that voters elected him to do. That's the last thing I was shocked by. But with Donald Trump, actually, nothing really shocks me anymore. I mean, they put a convicted felon in office, and his idiocy and his dishonesty, his compulsive lying, all that stuff, it's all part and parcel of the insanity show that we all have front seats to.
And, they attacked people like us, the MAGA right, because we were supporting Ukraine, and they called people like us warmongers. I'm wondering, Brooklyn Dad, where are all those people today? Donald Trump sold another can of BS, telling everybody that, he's not going to get us into any new wars. It seems as though it's another lie being told and proven to fruition today.
They are currently having a picnic with crickets and trying to figure out a way to blame this. Mark my words, to blame this on President Biden, because that's the other thing. I said, maybe I'm wrong when I said nothing surprised me. The thing that surprises me is how much time Donald Trump spends with President Biden's name in his mouth. Like, dude, you ran for the job, right? You wanted the job. Now, we knew that you wanted it just to stay out of jail, but could you, at the very least, act like you want to do it? And people who want to do a job don't blame their predecessor and say, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. Dude, you have the job. Do it. Do it. But he's not doing anything. You didn't see President Biden up there complaining. And all he did, President Biden wore out that signing hand, signing all those bills in the first 2 years of his time in office. That man was working. As old as he was / is, and they criticized him about his age until the cows came home. But at the end of the day, he got more work done than I think any other president in modern times.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And now we have more wars under Donald Trump than Obama and Biden combined. You won't hear MAGA Republicans talking about that. We got a war in Gaza. We got a war in Lebanon. We got a war in Iran now. We have still the war going on in Ukraine. The world is on fire. Our economy is on fire in a negative way. And once again, Donald Trump not fulfilling any of his promises other than pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers. I mean, and listen, there are some Republicans out there, some, not many, but some, that are obviously against what Donald Trump is doing, at least when it comes to Iran right now. There are some that have spoken out, but certainly not enough, right?
Yeah, actually, I saw something shocking today. I need to go back and make sure I saw what I saw, but I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene referring to Fox News and the New York Post as propaganda news, and I was like, wait, what? What is happening here?
Tucker Carlson did that too. Did you see what Tucker Carlson said Fox News was a propaganda machine? I'm like, wait a second. You were on Fox News for years and years. You did the exact same thing. That's what right-wing media does. It's not just Fox News. It's OAN, it's Newsmax, any of these right-wing entities. That's what they've always done. Why all of a sudden are these MAGA Republicans saying it now?
Well, that's Kooky Tucker for you. Kooky Tucker and his laugh.
Did you ever think that at this time, 3 to 4 months into Trump's administration, that the people that would maybe turn on Donald Trump in some ways, Steve Bannon, certainly Elon Musk, and Tucker Carlson. Did you think 4 months into it, this is what we would see?
My bingo card has been obliterated. Crazy stuff. Seriously, it's I couldn't I couldn't guess for $1,000,000. I couldn't guess what is about to happen. I don't necessarily know that this war that we're possibly in with Iran is actually officially, a thing yet. Um, I don't know. It doesn't. Why make such claims like you're going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours? Why
Mhm.
make outrageous that you cannot possibly hope to back up? No new wars is it's like H.W. Bush's no new taxes thing. Why would you say something that you cannot stick to?
That's true.
Right?
That's a good point, but this is what he's been doing for years. In fact, way before he got into public office, he was making promises that he couldn't fulfill. I wanted to ask you about this, and if you're just joining us, it is, of course, Brooklyn Defiant Dad. So Bernie Sanders introduced legislation yesterday to stop Trump from leading us into what he calls an illegal war. You also have Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna that told Trump to sit his war-hungry ass down. They've introduced a war powers resolution as well. Do you think it'll work?
I hope it does. Honestly, I don't want us to be in any new war, especially not in the Middle East. Scares me for some reason in a way that wars happening elsewhere don't really scare me, but they scare me because they just feel the Middle East feels a whole lot more volatile. Right? It feels like an X factor that you can't really account for. So, if we could calm things down there, that'd be great. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
A lot of things need to be calmed down. I tweeted this out earlier today. I don't recognize Brooklyn Dad, the America that I grew up in. There was a young man. I don't know if you saw the video. He shows up in court like a lot of these immigrants are seeking asylum, wanting to become legal citizens. They do the right thing. They show up to their court date, and then they're handcuffed and separated from their families. I saw a video earlier today of this young man's girlfriend who was crying, trying to bang a door down. I just, and this is happening a lot. First of all, you're now making it a deterrent for those that are undocumented to show up in court, because now they're going to be afraid that if they show up in court, they're going to be arrested and deported. So that's idiotic, number one. And number two, these are non-violent criminals. These are people that are trying to do it the right way. And you're handcuffing them and separating them. Talk about a traumatic experience for these people and their families. What do you make of these videos?
So I've seen quite a few of them already, and the way these ICE agents approach it, it absolutely feels like they are viewing these detainees as a paycheck, like they have everybody saying that they have a quota. It absolutely feels as though if they let this person get away, that's $500 less in their pay. That's what it feels like. And they show no emotion, they show no empathy. They're just doing it like they don't care, and I feel like they're very cowardly with their masks on their face. You're covering why are you hiding your face? Because you're ashamed. You know what you're doing is wrong. And I think we're in some uncharted territory now. It very much feels like, and I'm not gonna say like the Holocaust, because obviously that is very different, or 6 million Jews were murdered, were systematically exterminated. But just the whole thing where it almost feels like we have to help hide some people from being kidnapped at the very least. Like I've been tweeting and telling people, like, don't go to court. Don't make it easy for them to disappear you. These are extrajudicial kidnappings. That's what they amount to.
It's a really good point.
I would be terrified to see some people approach me on the street wearing masks and not identifying themselves and saying, "Get into this unmarked van." Are you kidding me?
It's like a kidnapping.
They took that guy to El Salvador and
Yeah.
basically dropped him into a hole and said, "Well, that's it. That's it. Even if it's a mistake, well, oh well."
Yeah.
That's terrifying. So
Yeah,
I would
it's
say,
against our Constitution, right? I mean, that
yeah,
it says any person deserves due process, yet they're trying to change the wording and the verbiage in our own Constitution, which is sickening to me. And you had mentioned what happened to Padilla, which I thought was utterly a disgrace and disgusting. And now
yeah,
we're seeing video earlier today. New York City mayoral candidate Brad Lander was
yeah,
arrested by ICE inside a federal court building, and it seems like we're going to see more and more and more of this. You have Senator Mike Lee, who goes on Twitter mocking what was an execution of elected officials and Democrats and their spouses. And he's
yeah,
going on social media making jokes about it.
yeah.
I can't understand, Brooklyn Dad, just the times that we are living in today and how these MAGA Republicans can look themselves in the mirror and support this sort of behavior.
Yeah, you're talking about Mike Lee's tweet where he said "Nightmare on Waltz Street."
Right.
Yeah, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And what makes me sick is that Republicans, other than Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, did not come out and denounce the treatment of Senator Alex Padilla. First and foremost, he is one of your colleagues. And, we consider the Senate like the higher house, where like, you talk a lot about the rules of decorum, like, that's the Senate, the gentleman from, wherever and wherever. They're supposed to treat each other equally. And where is your solidarity? Where is that? That's number one. And number two, where is the denouncing of Mike Lee's behavior? Somebody was killed. There were people. There was political violence. Let's get on the same page, right? Because I've seen a lot of tweets out there, people on the right trying to say, "Oh, this was a Democrat." And blah, 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 blah. Look,
That's a
it
lie.
doesn't matter. First of all, we know that it was a registered Republican, but that's
Correct.
irrelevant. It's
Correct.
irrelevant, right?
Yep.
What matters is that this person murdered, stalked, and uh, disguised himself as a police officer and used that to murder two politicians and wounded, severely wounded two other people.
Right.
There should be unanimous denouncing of Mike Lee from both sides of
This
the
wouldn't
party.
be,
As far as I'm concerned.
I agree with everything you just said. This wouldn't be the first time where violence was made a joke of by the right. You remember when Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer, almost lost his life. And you had
Yeah,
elected officials like Matt Gaetz and Ted Cruz spreading conspiracy theories about that it could have been some sort of gay relationship. And, they do this every single time there's a tragedy. The terrorist attack in New Orleans, they said it was Joe Biden's open border policy and it was some sort of undocumented immigrant, when we learned this was a person who was born in America living in Texas. But they
yeah,
never retract also. Not only do they spread misinformation and the Laura Loomers of the world, we're not talking about people, at the water cooler or people with very small platforms. The Laura Loomers of the world are
mhm,
blaming Tim Walz. They're saying, well, he didn't do a background check on this guy. And they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. They claim it was the left. Elon Musk, of all people, went on social media with his enormous following and said, blaming the left and their violence for these attacks, when, as you pointed out correctly, this is a registered Republican. His own
yeah,
friends and family members have said staunch Donald Trump supporter who voted for Donald Trump. But you know what? People like you and I wouldn't be talking about his political affiliation if they weren't spreading lies. The right thing to do is to say, this is horrible. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families. This should never be tolerated. But they always want to blame the other side, and they're lying about it.
Here's the interesting thing about that, about him being a registered Republican. I found out by reading a New York Post article, and it was on Saturday, and I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for about 10 minutes. It
Yeah.
took me 10 minutes to get to paragraph 30, where the information about him being a registered Republican was, talk about burying the lead. Like it wasn't even 6 feet under. That thing was, at Middle Earth. it was completely obscured and hidden. And why are you hiding that stuff? Why are professional people allowing for the obfuscation of facts, critical facts to a case, to be hidden? Number one. And number two, why are they politicizing this again? That the whole Paul Pelosi thing, absolutely. That was just disgusting. Can we not get back to a place of common decency? I feel like the anonymity of the internet and social media, like people can post, they can create a social media account for themselves, and my avatar is a skull, scary looking skull and crossbones. That's not me, but now I can say anything as heinous as I want, and I'm hiding behind something that is not my face and it's not my name, but I can say it because I got a mask on.
Yeah, it's well said. Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine last night, Republican. She voted for George W. Bush, but we had a good conversation because even though I was not a George W. Bush supporter, I know you weren't either, and got us into an ill-advised war. Listen, we can criticize George W. Bush until the cows come home. However, we were able to have, at least I feel like, for the most part, America was able to have civil discourse, right? Yeah. George W. Bush and the Obama family. I think Laura Bush is a woman of class, right? They're able to have civil discourse with the Obamas. They're able to sit together and exchange pleasantries. There was a level of decorum, even though I was not a fan of the Bush administration or his father, quite frankly. There was a level of class and decorum. I tell you, man, that is just gone. It's gone now, and I'm worried about the future of this country. I really am.
These days make me look back wistfully at remember that guy Joe Wilson who yelled out at Obama, "You lie!" Now he seems like a statesman.
Yeah, they celebrate people like that, right? You have Marjorie Taylor Greene decked out in her gear, looking like an imbecile. I said that on Piers Morgan a few weeks ago, and they want to talk about Elizabeth Warren not standing up and clapping, but yet they have no problem with people shouting like the Lauren Boeberts and the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world. Listen, I'm just worried that this is going to continue after Donald Trump. I'm worried that MAGA Republicans are going to continue. And that's why I say the midterms are so important, right? And I know a lot of people want to go backwards and they want to say Elon Musk, stole the election for Donald Trump. I keep telling those people, first of all, don't be like MAGA. Okay. Don't make those claims unless you have evidence to back it up. And number two, we should be focused on 2026. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Wholeheartedly. And there's plenty of stuff to hit Republicans with, and basically it's their own stuff. The big, I'm not calling it the big beautiful bill. I'm calling it the big brutal barbaric bill, because that's what it is. Yeah. It's taking away, it's slashing, cutting Medicaid and Medicare in order to take from the poor and give to the rich, to give them, give them the opportunity to buy another private jet or super yacht. That is so obscene. I don't even have words. I don't even have words for it. So we should be able to hit them with plenty of that all day long. It's so bad that even Josh Hawley is up in arms about, the cutting of Medicaid. That's how bad it is when you've got like Senator Sedition Fist, raising hell about that bill. So yeah, we should definitely focus on that. I do, believe that there were some irregularities with this last election, but I'm not focusing my energy on that. I'm looking forward. I'm looking ahead. I think we definitely had an opportunity to do away with Trumpism in this last election, and I'm still very disappointed. I'm still sore that so few people showed up. There was a huge drop off from 2020 to 2024. I'm like, guys, come on. So I hope we can figure out how to re-engage those people who sat on the sidelines in this last election, and light a fire under them and say, hey, it's now or never. our
No Kings,
democracy is literally on the line right
no
now.
Kings protests around the country certainly were a success, at least in my eyes. I think you would agree. A lot of people turned out, and then you look at Donald Trump's quote unquote military birthday bash. That was an absolute disaster and embarrassing that cost the American taxpayer over $40 million. Brooklyn Dad, I wanted to ask you this in closing, and I really do appreciate you coming on with me. I love following you, and you do a great job, and your website's great. If you had the opportunity to be in a room with Donald Trump right now, I'm curious, what would you say to him?
I would say you should be ashamed of yourself. You should absolutely be ashamed of yourself. You have destroyed the fabric of civility in the United States. You are a sexual predator, and you should resign from office. You don't belong around decent, civilized people.
I think that's pretty well said. There's not many decent, civilized people that are in Donald Trump's administration. That's for sure. We could certainly agree on that one. Hey, Brooklyn Dad.
Off the top of my head, if I had some more time, I would figure out some more stuff to say to him.
Oh, I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would. I believe that. Hey, Brooklyn Dad, give out that information. How do people follow you? And certainly you have an extremely large following, and rightfully so. You're very good at what you do. Give out your website and how people could see your work.
Oh, great. Thank you for that. My website is actually brooklyndadefiant.com. My Twitter is at MMPADELLAN. That's Padelin. And I have a Substack that's actually pretty cool. It's called Defiant Dispatches. And I literally, just before I just had a chat with Officer Harry Dunn.
Oh, wow. Hero.
Yeah. So yeah, my Substack, I write some I write some rants.
I love it.
And film some videos every now and then.
I love it. We need more people like you. Love your voice. You deserve the platform that you have, my friend. Please keep it up, and look forward to talking to you again down the road, my friend. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.